I'm not sure if I'll be able to use this video because of the wind, but I just wanted to make a quick one for any of my recently single or divorced ladies out there. This past couple of years with the you-know-what, the worldwide thing that we all went through, it's shaken everything up, and it's shown a lot of us who we really are, as well as who the people in our lives really are. And I have seen a record number of divorces in my social circle. And if any of you are going through that now, you're wanting to find, who you are, you're wanting to kind of find some new career, you're going through a time of transition and you want some support, some community, and some time to reflect, relax, and celebrate what you've come through these past couple of years, attend my retreat, okay? You have until June 16th to get the early bird pricing, so check in the link below. We're going to be swimming with whale sharks in Isla Mujeres, Mexico at the end of July. Don't miss it. So I'm here to talk about what to watch out for if you enter the dating market after being divorced or married and your last relationship was kind of a dumpster fire. If you're looking back on that relationship and you're like, oh my God, what was I thinking? Why did I do that? I can't believe it. If you've got that kind of vibe going on like I did, then you really want to pay attention. There were some breakups where I was like, yeah, I get why we broke up. Or I was like, yeah, I understand why we broke up. We kind of drifted apart. We had these different values, whatever. But there's a couple where I'm just like, what the heck was I thinking? When I look back. And this past, relationship that I left almost 2 years ago was one of those. And the thing to watch out for is the elastic band effect, where you go from one extreme quickly into another because you're so disappointed, you're so desensitized that it's kind of there's a couple of things that are going to be going on for you. One is that your standards are going to be really, really low. I remember when I first moved to Mexico and I started going on dates here and there, I was like, oh my God, this man flosses his teeth. And the fact that I asked him, do you floss your teeth? He's like, why would you even ask that? It was kind of just a basic question, do you eat food? He's just like, yeah, doesn't everybody? He's like, I don't understand why you asked me that. That's weird. And I was like, oh my God, someone who flosses their teeth and doesn't have to be convinced that it's not a conspiracy theory. This is amazing. Or reminded, he intrinsically does it himself. And that was one thing I found that, with a lot of the men here, I don't know if it's because the weather is hot, so they have to be really mindful of it or whatever, but they are on top of their hygiene. These guys shower 2-3 times a day. They wear all the products, natural products, some of them, especially the ones I'm interested in. They brush their teeth all on their own. They floss their teeth all on their own. They don't need to be asked multiple times or reminded or anything like that. So I was really impressed by that. However, that's how you can kind of, fall into a bad situation, because if you came from a situation where you had to beg and plead and remind for the bare minimum, when someone shows up with the bare minimum, it's going to seem amazing to you, right? It's like if you're starving to death and someone hands you a Twinkie, oh shoot, that's the most amazing thing you've ever had. You're going to devour that Twinkie. It's going to taste like food from the gods. But is that healthy, good, normal food? No. It's just because your perception has been altered. So when you're coming out of a long-term relationship that was toxic or dysfunctional, your perception is altered and you need time for it to return to normal again. Another thing is, if you dated someone who had some kind of extreme, or you're in a relationship, long-term marriage, whatever, with someone who had some kind of extreme personality thing. So in my case, it was someone who was really low confidence, really down on himself. I couldn't trust him to represent us well. For example, when we were talking to someone we were meeting in immigration, and they're asking him well, what's your job? He's like, I'm unemployed. I'm like, He's not unemployed. He has this degree. He worked in this professional field for this long. He's working for his family now. I'm like, I kind of had to jig it a bit. And I knew that if I ever had to leave this guy to talk about or represent us publicly, if I wasn't there, it was going to go bad, So it was kind of like a sore spot for me, someone who just had no social graces. What does that do? Well, that made me primed to be really impressed by someone who was a complete opposite. Tons of confidence, cared a lot about other people thought, and presented a really good frontal image. Well, you can imagine how that turned out for me. I went from the covert narc to the overt classic narc, and neither of those are for me. So I learned so much over the past year and a half. Those of you who've been on my channel for so long, you know that I have been talking about researching, practicing, doing conferences, giving workshops, and now I'm doing retreats on personal development, relationships, personal growth, and how we can really step into our higher timeline. And I've been through so much this year. I love talking and sharing about it with people who come to my retreats. It's like having some girlfriends who you get to discuss things with and have a wonderful, fun time with and learn about yourself. These are life-changing moments that you'll remember for the rest of your life. So this is my kind of message to anyone newly out of these relationships, anyone thinking about coming to my retreat. Leave me any comments or questions below this video. Hit me up through email and let me know. Have you ever gone from one extreme to another because you didn't fully take time to recalibrate yourself to what you truly deserve out of this life? I'd love to hear about it. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.